In other words, if the economy has been growing at 3%, it's only growing at 2%. That's a technical depression. And that's what he's saying in this new book, The New Depression. So people are watching, oh, the stock market's up, everybody's happy and all this, but everything's inverting upon us. So just recently, the euro dollar curve inverted. Every time that has happened, it was followed by Lehman Brothers, and so this one is going to happen again. And that's why I'm saying to people, because I'm a gold and silver and Bitcoin bug, this is a good time to get into gold and silver now. I'm just saying right now, if you're a boomer, what this guy Marx wrote about was that 50% of our population would shift from, let's say, proletariat to poverty. That's what he was calling for in 1848. And when I saw 1974 come, and that's when they put us into ERISA, Employee Retirement and Income Security Act, or the defined contribution, or the 401k, or the IRA, it shoved all of these amateurs, people with no financial education, into the stock market. And Jim Rickards and I are good friends, you can tell. But when we were kids, nobody was in the stock market. We're in the bond market. Remember that? And he says suddenly they needed to find a way to get some stupid people into the stock market. So they got the 401k, and all the boomers are in it. So we shifted from defined benefit pension plan. So Ford Motor Company has a defined benefit. So Ford Motor stood behind the retirement. And then when it went to, in 74, it shifted to defined contribution. And I've talked to Jim about this. I said, oh my God, that was the beginning of the end at that point, because it was pushing all of us, us boomers, into the stock market, not the bond market. I'm not buying gold because I like gold. I buy gold because I don't trust the Fed. And, you know, and these people actually listening to the Fed, got to be kidding me. There's 700 PhDs. That's 700 people like my poor dad running the biggest Ponzi scheme going. I just don't trust the Fed. You know, what's his name? Ron Paul doesn't trust the Fed. You know, if you look at, if you understand this guy here, the Fed is actually a Marxist organization. So my strike price for Bitcoin is 6,000. So I think today is about 40,000. So I'm still in the money. So as my rich dad said to me, your profit's not made when you buy, not when you sell, it's made when you buy. And so you always want to be early into the market. It's the same as, you know, when I bought gold, it was $50 an ounce. I still have, I bought my first Krugerrand in 1972 in Hong Kong because it's illegal for Americans to own gold, which I thought was interesting. And that little Vietnamese woman yelling at me about spot and she wanted to give me a discount. Everybody wants a discount. I'm going, what is going on here? So the issue is people don't know what money is. That's the problem. We have no financial education in school. And I've made a fortune in Rich Dad, Poor Dad saying that we should have financial education at schools. But we don't. We don't even know what money is. So Bitcoin going up and down, I don't really care because my entry point is 6,000. It's always your entry point. And how many ounces do you have? How many coins do you have? But also if it's going to crash, it's when you get out. The stock market is, it's not an all-time high, but it's pretty high. It adjusted last week. I feel for my baby boom friends. They're going to get hammered. It's as Jim Rickards says and Griffin says, everybody's saying, what is real? What is real? You know, and I think really that's kind of the question. So gold and silver are gods. There's no counterparty risk to gold and silver. They're elements of the periodic table. So God is the counterparty to gold and silver. Bitcoin is the network system. Same as Ethereum. It's the network. It's outside the control of the Fed. And so when people say that the Fed's going to shut down Bitcoin and all that, it's possible. They did that in China. So anything's possible. So I would just listen to idiots like me and go, well, maybe I should do something different than count on my Apple stock keeping going up. I have two properties. We have our own private police. So if you don't have your own private police, that's a consideration. And I talked to the private police force guy because he's an off-duty police officer with attachment to the headquarters. He says right now they brought in a new teacher to train police officers. So I forget the numbers now, but let's say they need 50 new police officers a year. They only have 17 in the academy. So the attrition rate is accelerating, but they bring in the school teacher to teach police officers how not to do, in the Marine Corps is called pugil, how not to use your fist. So they're training police officers to try and kind of talk people out of killing people or something. I don't know what they're doing. But our problem is our education system. It's Marxist. Postmodernist education is Marxist. And so that's really the corruption is in our education system. And I love my poor dad. He was a smart guy, but he was a Marxist. He's not a capitalist. Understand what I'm saying? Just because you have a PhD and you make a lot of money doesn't mean you're a capitalist. So you look at most of these people in Hollywood and all that, they make millions of dollars, but they're not capitalists. They're Marxists. And they get that distinction. And I hate to say it again, but this guy said it all in this book. 1848, he was talking about America today. He talked about stage one and stage two. Stage one was when capitalism shifted to socialism. That happened when we had Social Security, Obamacare. Everybody's on welfare now. So socialism is now complete in America. Stage two began in January of 2020. I'm not Republican or Democrat, but when Trump's election was stolen, that was the start of communism, stage two. And since then, they have COVID passports. They have, they fund the police. They get released right away and all this stuff. All of this is part of stage two. And what Marx said in this book, stage two, is opposite of stage one. In other words, the violence is about to begin. And that's what he warned about. So if you look at history, the communists have murdered hundreds of millions. So it's about to start. And what's happening is Jay Powell of the Fed is trying to push the yield curve up. But as most of you know, the real yield curve is a euro-dollar curve. It's not the Fed curve. And the euro-dollar curve went inverted. And every time that has happened, tragedy followed. So most of us are old enough to remember the last time that yield curve inverted, not the last time, but an earlier time was 2007. The euro-dollar yield curve inverted, and the Fed was trying to hold it up. So the Fed's pushing it this way, but the euro-dollar is going this way. And that led to the Lehman moment, 2008. So then what happened in 2019, it inverted again. The repo market inverted, the euro-dollar inverted, and COVID appeared. So once again, the euro-dollar yield curve inverted just recently. And I'm standing alongside my friend Jim Rickards that this next one is going to be the biggest of all. Now, it's good news for some people, but horrible news for the boomers who are starting to retire. So if you're a stock market person and you're counting on the stock market to keep you alive, let's say you're 65 years old and you're going to live to 85, you might be in serious trouble. It's really horrible. But it was predicted in this book here. I'm not a communist, but it's called the Communist Manifesto. And, I'm just shamelessly plugging my book, The Capitalist Manifesto, which comes out in a few weeks. But this book here is only 50 pages. My book is 500 pages. But Marx was an idiot, but he was a smart guy. He predicted everything that's happening today in America. So he said that what's going to happen, and it's happening in this country here, is the boomers will go bust. Well, let me say it again. This book was written in 1848. It is prescient. It is calling exactly what's happening today, 1848 till today. So, unfortunately, what Marx was saying was that capitalism would destroy 50% of the population and shove them into poverty. So what happened was this book was written in 1848, 1960. I started studying it in 1965. I went to school in New York. I went to military school. 66, I'm in Vietnam as a student in the Merchant Marine Academy. And I could see what this book was saying coming to life. 72, I'm flying in Vietnam. I was a Marine pilot. It's my squadron patch. And then in 74, ERISA comes out. And ERISA is Employee Retirement Income Security Act, today known as the 401k. So you have all of these baby boomers who have no idea about markets, and they blindly give their money over to Wall Street, who will rip them off. I mean, I'm not against Wall Street. I'm just against corruption. They rip them off. They don't know what's going to happen. And now, exactly as Rickards has been saying, he says the Fed, the most incompetent people going, they're telling everything's going right. Whereas the euro-dollar market is so much bigger than the Fed. The euro-dollar market is the biggest market in the world, and it's just inverted. We're going down. The biggest problem, again, is the euro-dollar system, which is 1,000 times bigger than the Fed, is crashing. Europe is going down right now. I mean, if you see the report, and this is not me speaking, this is the Wall Street Journal talking about it. There's so many rioting going on about this COVID stuff. People just don't want to take it anymore. The uncertainty is too high, so the euro-dollar system is trying to go down. But Jim Rickards talks about a thing called Triffin's dilemma. Triffin's dilemma took place in 1944 when the U.S. dollar became the reserve currency of the world. And what that meant was that the U.S. dollar was screwed anyway. So one of these, I'm a gold bug and a silver bug and a Bitcoin bug and all this. I just don't trust the Fed. And all these people say, oh, don't fight the Fed, ride with the Fed. They're full of it. And so when I listen to Jim Rickards, it's about Triffin's dilemma. We always have to run a deficit. And now we can't run it much longer. So more than inflation or deflation is that the euro-dollar market the index has inversion. Every time that has happened, something bad is. That's what I'm concerned with. When you look at the numbers, is that we're already in.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much, much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.